tell three stories, if I may. The first story, well, all have to do with domestic violence. The first story is not clear to me yet. I haven't got the full details, but apparently there was an incident in Ontario where someone was delivering pharmaceuticals to an apartment, and when that delivery was being made, the medications were for an elderly woman, and when the delivery was being made, the delivery person was greeted at the door by a younger person, and that individual said that they would take the medications to the elderly person. The delivery, I think it was a man, delivery man looked over the woman's shoulder and saw the elderly woman there and did not like the look in the elderly woman's eyes. So came back to the pharmacy and explained the situation, and then they cut out a deal where the delivery person would go back with another delivery, and this time would make sure that the delivery was being made to the woman personally. It was at that time that the delivery person realized that the woman was a victim of elder abuse. And then subsequently, things happened after that. That's my first story. And I'm losing my voice. I'm chewing gum, excuse me. But the second story is a personal story. I lived here at the university for 24 years. I lived in an apartment in one of the residences. And during the time that I lived there, the door to my apartment was never locked. So students would come and go at all hours. Many amusing stories. There was always a light on in the living room. One night I came in, I'm cutting the story short. One night I came in, the light was off. I turned the light on, the overhead light on, to see what was going on in the darkness, and I heard a cry in the corner. And I looked over, and a co-ed was there, a young lady, in the fetal position behind a chair. Upon investigation, I learned that she was the victim of abuse at home, and for some reason or other, even though she was in her second year, it occurred to her that her father was hunting for her. And so she found that my apartment was a safe space, so she went there and hid. And the story goes on from there. But that was my shocking introduction to the full impact of physical abuse within families. I'll tell the rest of the story later if someone wants to know it. And the third story is the secretary at St. Anthony's knows of my interest in domestic violence issues. And I introduced her to a victim of domestic violence a few years ago. She developed a relationship with that woman, and she got fired up about domestic violence. And as a result of that, she puts on a concert, 2 concerts a year, where she raises money to devote to, I think it's Liberty Lane now that she's been. She's raised over $12,000 on her own, just because this introduction fired her up to realize this shouldn't happen to women. This is not supposed to happen to wives. And so she's taken charge and gone ahead with doing what she can to assist women. I'm losing my voice. I'm going to stop. But I'll answer questions. I'm sorry. Thank you. I found when I was looking at the video and reflecting on that, it doesn't communicate the confusion that goes on in the heart of the victim in the midst of one of these situations. That so often, I shouldn't say so often, I should say that it's been my experience in being with victims that there's a terrible confusion between what's happening to them emotionally, psychologically, physically, and the basic feeling they have that got them into the situation in the first place. So that you'll be talking to a victim who's been terribly damaged by what's going on, and you'll be suggesting, well, these are the options that you have, and they keep saying to you, but I love him. I want to help him. He's needing my presence, you see. And I think that confusing message that comes from the heart in the midst of, so that as an objective, I'm standing there as an outsider to the violence itself. I have a solution which is perfect for the situation, but it keeps getting muddied by the fact that I can't, the victim can't see that because of the love that's there for the perpetrator. Another story, I like to tell stories. So one other story is the woman who had a daughter who wasn't doing well in school. So she took the daughter to school to explain to the teacher why she wasn't performing very well. The teacher listened to the story, and then she called in, she said, "Can I bring the principal in?" Yes. The principal came, the woman repeated the story. Both the teacher and the principal said to the woman, "You are in a violent situation, you should get out of it." So what did the woman do? She withdrew the child from the school and went to another school. That's the heart speaking. Okay? When she was in the other school, it dawned on her, I think she told me 7 months later, that she was in a violent situation. But initially, the confusion is there. I've only cited one example, but there are others. So it's not as simple. The trouble with the video is you're talking to people that almost at the other end of this, they've resolved the confusion, but day by day, in the front line, it ain't easy.